You already know how to calculate the area of the figures which are bounded by the straight lines, like rectangles or triangles, and you know formulas for their areas. You also know how to calculate the area of a circle, which is not bounded by straight lines. But what about a general curve figures? For instance, here we got a figure which is bounded by the x-axis, two vertical lines, and this piece of parabola. These three are straight lines, but this red parabola is curved. And how should we calculate it? Here we first divide this part of the x-axis, which means the interval 1 and 4, into n equal parts. Let me n equal parts. Here's we got some dot, which means that we got n of them. N is a general number, so this is and we also draw from the endpoints of the subintervals vertical lines till they meet the parabola. Okay, so this is our first subinterval, this is our second, this is our ith interval, okay, and this is our last or ith subinterval, and this is our last subinterval, which I draw the vertical line for one of its endpoints and the other one already drawn. Okay, now from and each subinterval got some minimum and maximum points on the parabola, or for the f of x equals x squared function. For instance, the minimum point for the first subinterval occurs at 1, which would be for this point here on the parabola, and its maximum value occurs at this point, this end, which is correspond to this point on the parabola. Okay, this is the minimum and this is the maximum point. I mean the y, the value of y or f of x here is minimum for the general ith interval, and at this point is maximum, the value of f. Okay, now from the minimum points on the parabola, draw horizontal lines till they meet the next vertical line. For instance, here, draw this horizontal line, and here for the second subinterval, we draw this, and for the general ith interval, we also draw a horizontal line till it meets the next vertical line, and also for the last subinterval. Okay, now here for instance, for the second subinterval, the area under the parabola above the second subinterval, which means, it's something like this. So this is the second subinterval, and this is vertical lines, and this is part of parabola above it. This area, and this is the horizontal line we already drew. Now, the area under the parabola and above the second subinterval between these two vertical lines is bigger than. Let's show that by A2. I mean this area, the area of, okay. Let's show that by A2 is bigger than the area of this rectangle, which here is this. Okay, so what is the area of this rectangle? Let's calculate it. The area of this rectangle is the length of this subinterval, the second subinterval, times the value of f of x at the beginning point of this subinterval. Okay, which would be from here to here. So what is the length of the second subinterval? The subintervals are equal, so the length of all of them would be equal to the length of this interval, which is 4 minus 1 over n, because we got n of them. So that would be 3 over n. And what is the value? The value of f at the beginning point. What is this point? What is its x coordinate? It is 1 plus 3 over n. Okay, so the area of this rectangle would be 3 over n times the length of this side, which is 1 plus 3 over n square. Because this is the graph of this, f of x equals to x squared. Okay, so a2 is bigger than 3 over n times 1 plus 3 over n squared. Okay, and for the general ith interval, the area under the parabola above the x-axis and between two vertical lines, let's call that AI, would be greater than the area of this rectangle. Okay, what is the area of that? Is 3 over n, the length of this side, times the value of f for this point, which would be the length of this side. Okay, and what is this point? This is ith interval, which means that from here to here we got I minus 1 sub-intervals. Okay, so the x-coordinate of this would be 1 plus I minus 1 times 3 over n. Because we got I minus 1 subintervals and the length of each subinterval is 3 over n. So here we got 1 plus 3 over n. Now let's get rid of this. 3 over n times I minus 1. The whole thing squared. This is AI